The first item on our list are ergonomic keyboards. Now, I say ergonomic very specifically because most keyboards that you find just aren't going to be worth selling. The ones that are going to be worth selling are these ergonomic keyboards. They're distinctive by their wavy features. You can see how it kind of looks like a wave that you'd find in the ocean. These are ergonomical because you are able to rest your hands very easily on these, and it's a lot more comfortable. People will pay a lot more for these because they're just made in a different way, and they usually cost a lot more at places like Best Buy or Walmart. So people are looking to get them for really cheap on eBay, and you can get them for really cheap at thrift stores. Usually thrift stores will price all their keyboards the same. My local thrift store had this price at, I believe, only $7. And these ergonomic keyboards have a very wide range. If you look for Microsoft and Logitech, you can definitely get into the $40, $50, $60 range for keyboards. But there are definitely some other lesser brands that sell ergonomic keyboards very well on eBay. All you gotta do is look up the individual model number. You can really find them back here. There will be a little marking that will show the model number. Make sure to inspect the condition. Make sure there's no missing keys. Make sure that the kickstand is still there. That'll help add value, but it doesn't need to be there. You'll just have to sell it for a little bit less. Most of these keyboards are gonna require some kind of dongle, though you can sell it without a dongle, and most likely you will be selling it without a dongle. You just gotta make sure that cosmetically it looks good enough condition where you're pretty sure it's gonna work, though there's not a real good way to test these without the dongle. So just make sure you have free returns for keyboards like this, just in case they do not work. The next item on the list are humidifiers. Now, the vast majority of humidifiers that you are going to find at the thrift store or at garage sales are going to be worthless. You can think of the plastic ones that you find at CVS or Walgreens as being the ones you want to stay away from. You want to stay away from any of the cheap white plastic ones. You want to look for things like these that have a clear bowl, things that just look a lot more high-end. The main brands you're going to be looking for are Rainmate, which is this one, and Hank's Craft, which makes very vintage humidifiers. Hank's Craft humidifiers can go upwards of $100, but the one you're gonna be finding most often are Rainmates. I usually find these about once a month, and during the summer months where people don't really need humidifiers as much, they go for between $30 and $40, but since we're in the cold months now, you can expect these humidifiers to range anywhere between $40 and $60 plus shipping, and they usually sell the same week you list them. Our third item are Ultra 4K or Ultra HD Blu-ray players. Now, I say Ultra HD very specifically because 99% of the Blu-ray players that you are going to find are not going to be worth any money. And this is simply because there's a lot of different brands out there and a lot of different models out there. However, when it comes to the 4K Ultra HD models, there aren't really that many options. And these things are a lot more modern, so they go for a lot more modern prices. You can usually find these at the thrift store for the same price as any other Blu-ray player, usually between $8 and $20, depending on the thrift store. And these things can go for a very wide range. I've seen some go for as low as $30 if you get one of the really small Sony ones. But things like these go anywhere between $60 and $150 plus shipping. And then of course you have the really rare ones that go for hundreds of dollars. Knowing if these are Ultra 4K HD is very easy. Somewhere on here, there's going to be some kind of emblem. You can see right there, it says Ultra HD. So I know that this is a 4K Ultra HD. Ultra HD and 4K are the two things that you're looking for, though some Blu-ray players might just have one over the other. You can also check the back to see if it has it, and there you can find the model number. Make sure to have a couple Blu-ray discs lying around so you can test them, because sometimes the tray might not open or the laser will need cleaning, which is a whole different process, though some of these things do sell for parts for between the $20 and $40 range. Up next are these Apple networking devices, things like Wi-Fi routers and Wi-Fi extenders and modems and things like that. Doesn't have to be just Apple. Any brand that is a known brand will have things that sell for a lot, things like Comcast, Xfinity. You can find these pretty much anywhere. I usually get them at thrift stores and pawn shops for anywhere between $10 and $20. And depending on the brand and model, they can range for as low as $8 shipped all the way up to $100 plus shipping. This one goes for around the 50 range. All I need to do is connect a power cord to it and I should be able to sell it for a lot more. That's another thing. Make sure to have extra power cords lying around. This one just takes the standard 2-prong. So I have a bunch of these. They only cost like $1 on eBay, so you can buy a pack. So whenever you find these, you can always pair it and it will add another $10 to $20 of value for only $1 buy cost. One caveat to selling these things is a lot of the times they are locked to a certain provider and locked to a certain account. So most of the time you are going to have to call the service number that's on the back of these and say that you would like to get it reset. All you got to do is just tell them, hey, I bought this secondhand, do you mind resetting it for me? And most of the time they will. Some companies like Comcast might give you a little bit of trouble, but if you just push them enough, they'll be able to clear it for you. Next item on the list are pots and pans. This was the only pan I had in my store right now. It is a Hexclad wok. Hexclad is going to be the #1 brand you're looking for. It is one of the highest consumer brands that regular people like you and me will buy, not getting into the restaurant commercial stuff. This is going to be the highest grade thing you find. Hexclad is very easy to determine based on two things. One, their logo on the back. You can probably see the Hexclad logo there, and you can also see all of these hexagon ridges. That's why it's called Hexclad, Hexclad, hexagon. Another way to determine a higher quality pot and pan when they're stacked, usually at the thrift store, is by the handle. You can see that this handle is nice and thick and is very durable. Cheap pans usually cheap out on the stem because it's the part people don't really consider. They usually just look at the face and see if it's good enough. So companies are able to stiff them with the handle. Hexclad is not the only brand you should be looking for. There's really about 2 or 3. You're looking for Williams Sonoma, which can range between $50 and $100. I recently sold a Williams Sonoma pan for $75. You are also looking for All-Clad. All-Clad is probably the most famous stainless steel pans that you can buy that are really good quality. And Emerald, which is basically another version of All-Clad. When it comes to All-Clad, you are pretty much only looking for stainless steel. They do have iodized pans that are black with a non-stick coating, but those usually don't go for as much unless you find a obscure model, like a weird looking pot or a weird looking pan that's a weird dimension. Those are the ones that will probably go for a little bit more, even though they're not stainless steel. The way I like to look at it is, if it's shiny and it looks durable, I'll look it up. But you're also looking for things like Dutch ovens. Le Creuset is a good Dutch oven brand to look for. They are usually orange or red, and they'll have their logo on the bottom. Those can be worth hundreds of dollars, but most of the time you're gonna be looking for things like these: All-Clad, Hexclad, and Emerald. The next item on the list are Guitar Hero controllers. You've probably seen these before at the thrift store. These are the large Guitar Hero controllers that you can slot your Wii remote into. Or if you're using an Xbox or a PlayStation, there is a dongle that you are able to attach that will allow you to play this wirelessly. Most thrift stores aren't going to charge you more than $10 for these, and even at the low end, they go for around $25 to $35 plus shipping. But if you're able to find nicer ones or rarer ones, they can go for between $50 and $70, and there are even some that go for over $100. This is one of the standard ones you're gonna find. There's a lot of stickers on it that came with the stickers, and this one goes for around $40 plus shipping. So after shipping, that's gonna hit around the $50 mark. The ones that go for the best are usually the Wii ones. The Wii ones have this little slot that you can slide your Wii remote into. Though Xbox does sell well, it's usually the PlayStation ones that don't really sell for as much. The way you can look these up is when you take off this back piece here. When you take off this back piece here, you'll see a model number. It's usually about 10 digits. You plug that into eBay and it will tell you how much it goes for. Next up on the list are Pickleball rackets. Now, if you haven't been living under a rock, you know that Pickleball has been sweeping the nation for the last 5 years. And with that, Pickleball rackets and pickleballs have been growing in value. You can find these pretty much anywhere from thrift stores to Walmart. I got this at Ross. It was on clearance for about $3. And the last time this sold was for about $45 plus shipping, so I have mine listed at $50. There are definitely some that go for $2 because they're just made of cheap plastic, but if you're able to find the ones that are for professionals, then you can really get to that $50, $60, even $100 range. Usually I'll find these pretty much at Ross by Prince. Prince is the best company that I have found so far that I can find a lot of their rackets in Ross. They are very easy to ship, very easy to list, and during the summer months, they sell very fast. Right before I get into the last item, I wanna ask, if you do like this video, please consider liking and subscribing. It will definitely help out the channel so I can grow and reach a lot more resellers and help them continue their business. The last item on the list are smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors, radon detectors, any of these kind of smoke alarms that you have seen that you have in your house. If you can buy them new in box, they go for a lot of money. Most of you probably know this, but every single house and every single commercial property is required to have some form of smoke detector in each and every room. So there is almost an infinite amount of demand for these kind of things, which us resellers really enjoy, because no matter what time of year it is, you will always be able to sell these things. You do not need to sell a double pack. This is a double carbon monoxide pack. Usually the single packs will go for between $25 and $40 depending on the model. This one I have listed for $50 because it is a double pack and it is made by Kid, which is one of the #1 brands for smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors. Usually you're gonna be wanting to buy it new, so just stick with new ones. I got this at a thrift store for $15 and I'm gonna be selling it for $50. Usually the single ones, thrift stores will price it between $5 and $10, and I'm usually able to sell it for between $20 and $40.